In another special report, we talked about how Wall Street's love affair with Beijing is causing concerns. There, we explored how Wall Street pumps investors' money into the Chinese regime and why. Now, that love affair continues, but as China behaves more and more like an abusive boyfriend, Wall Street still chooses to stand by the country. In this special report, we look at how American investors are losing billions of dollars because of Beijing's recent attacks on several of its own industries, how big names on the street are still vouching for China, and whether China is still investment worthy at this point. But first, a quick recount of what's happening. As the Chinese regime continues stomping on its domestic companies, many of which receive Western investment.
Machine would do better.
It all started last year with Chinese billionaire Jack Ma and his financial tech giant Ant Group.
China putting the brakes on the world's biggest IPO. Ant Group's listing in both Shanghai and Hong Kong have been suspended.
The shares Ant Group had already distributed to American investors simply went up in smoke. Next, it was food delivery giant Meituan. Chinese authorities launched an investigation into the company. Their reasons?
What regulators are saying is that Meituan has been involved in, and this is the allegation at least, anti-competitive practices.
Then last month, a company Western investors were super excited about, Chinese ride-hailing app Didi.
Well, Didi's share sale is the biggest by a Chinese company since Alibaba IPO'd in 2014.
An IPO, or initial public offering, is where a company sells part of its ownership stake to investors in exchange for their investment. But just days after Didi's IPO, the Chinese regime ordered all of its smartphone apps to be removed from app stores and opened an investigation into the company. Soon after, Chinese state media outlets suddenly started lashing out against a video game owned by Chinese tech giant Tencent, calling it spiritual opium. And then comes the authorities' war against China's private tutoring industry, another fast-growing darling for Western investors.
U.S. shares of Tall Education and New Oriental Education each dropped more than 50%. Both provide tutoring and test prep services in China. It's just after news the Chinese regime is barring tutoring for profit in core school subjects. One trader says the pain of regulatory uncertainty has caused many to just give up on Chinese tech stocks.
This series of actions isn't just harming Chinese companies. Last month, the Wall Street Journal reported that investors lost hundreds of billions on China in July. And that money isn't from Chinese investors. It's cash from American investors.
They are killing us. I mean, they know that we own these stocks, and they're showing no mercy.
To watch today's full special report, click the link in the description down below. We are working with Epoch TV, and all Friday special reports are published there in full length.